I know not many people are talking about Segun's successes, uh, autopsy death, and when his body returned to Nigeria since that incident was reported in Ghana. But I bring you the updates so far, and these are the things that are being discussed about it in Ghana. I'm about to play you a series of reports compiled by a Ghanaian sports radio station, that's Sporty FM in Accra, Ghana. I obtained this from them uh, regarding the updates so far about uh, the autopsy and other investigations into the circumstance of the passing of the boxer after a collapse in the ring in Ghana. And let's listen to it together and discuss it, please. Just pay attention, listen to
Sunday,
this
March
report.
30, 2025. Time check 17 minutes to 2 a.m.
It's a cool night under the lights at the Bukom Boxing Arena, and two boxers trade punches as they seek to win their contest in the IMAX Boxing League. The combatants John Mbanugu, a Ghanaian known in boxing circles as Power, and Gabriel Success Oluwasegun Olanrewaju, a Nigerian, were slugging it out in a light heavyweight showdown in week 15 of the league. For 2 rounds, the fight went as planned. Olanrewaju was leading on the cards, but 14 seconds into the third, events took a worrying turn. The Nigerian looked off the pace and started swaying back and forth. Without any punches landing on him, he collapsed onto the ropes in a heap. Referee Richard Amevi, perhaps out of instinct, started the count, but quickly realized what was unfolding before him. Paramedics rushed into the ring and frantically tried to remove the guard trapped in the mouth of the unresponsive boxer. The Nigerian was then put into an ambulance and taken to the nearby Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Gordon Frimpong, the manager of Olanrewaju's opponent John Mbanugu, recounts what went on.
When we picked him up from the ring and placed him in the ambulance, he was breathing. When he was in the ambulance, I could even still see his fingers twitching. I reassured myself that he would be fine. When we arrived at the hospital, everything was done to save him. He was given oxygen, and the medics attempted to revive his heart. He opened his eyes intermittently whenever the defibrillator was applied, but it was not to be. I did not leave the hospital until the end of that episode because we were dealing with a matter of life and death.
So clearly the two of them stood in the ring, traded punches, exchanged punches, hoping that at the end of that week 15 bout in the light heavyweight contest of the IMAX Boxing League, these two gentlemen would come out. One would definitely win, gain more points, and move on to the next stage of the competition. Little did they know that that bout was about to change their lives and change something about their careers. Nobody knows if John Mbanugu will ever box again. But for Oluwasegun Gabriel Olanrewaju, this was where he fought his last bout a few weeks ago. The authority's director of communications, Mohammed Amin Lamte, spoke on the Sporty Breakfast and suggested that the death was simply an accident.
Nobody ever predicted it because the boxer was physically fit, he was medically fit, he has everything. And if you watch the video that has gone viral, it wasn't that the guy suffered any 50 punches. He was rather leading the fight. Round 1, round 2, round 3 was leading until in the third round, 2 minutes 46 seconds, that he himself retreated. There was no punch. He went and traded a flexing punches with his opponent's jaw, and then he retreated going back. He was closer to me, and then he retreated and went and leaned on the ropes, and then he fell down. And the referee was counting, realized that no, the man is at the receiving end. And then he invited the ringside physician supported by the National Ambulance Service paramedics. They came and took care of him to resuscitate him. They did very well. Within 3 minutes, they have to transport him to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So he was placed on the oxygen for some time, just about 30 minutes, and then he kicked the bucket.
That was not taken kindly by the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control and their president, Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
Our boxer, Segun Olanrewaju's success, left Nigeria with a letter of release given to him by the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control to go and do a fight in Ghana. And that fight was scheduled to hold on Friday. But for whatever reason, Segun was in Ghana and the fight was never held. And he left Ghana, coming back to Nigeria. On his way back, they have gotten to Accra when he was called back from Ghana to come and fight.
Clearly, the Nigerians believe that their Ghanaian counterparts were negligent. But what was Aut0psy doing at the Bukom Boxing Arena on a night when he was not supposed to be there? The Punch newspaper in Nigeria said he was fighting to make some money in order to clear debts and improve his financial situation. His family later debunked those claims and added that he was preparing to commence business operations in the transportation sector.
Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Time check, 7 p.m. Lagos time.
He doesn't have any health issue. They said he owed some debt. It's a lie. He did not owe any debt. I'm his wife. Even at home, he used to tell me that I shouldn't try to owe anybody money. He ate anything called debt. He did not owe anybody because there's nothing he will do. Even I have access to his phone. So there's nothing he will do that he won't tell me.
In boxing, Aut0psy was no slouch. He had fought 23 times, recorded 13 wins, 9 losses and 2 draws since his debut in 2019. He was a former Nigerian and West African light heavyweight champion, but at age 40, he was in search of a major breakthrough. Be that as it may, his passing shook the Nigerian boxing world. The incident has become widespread news across the two countries and has caught the attention of Ghana's sports minister, Kofi Adams, who promised to find a resolution. Following the death of Aut0psy, an autopsy was ordered, and the initial result pointed to a cardiac arrest. But for the General Secretary of the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control, Remy Aboderin, this does not close the case out in any way. He believes that the Ghana Boxing Authority still has questions to answer.
The GBA did not follow the rules and regulations, then they must be made to account for their mistakes. We don't have any issues. We should not have an issue with our counterpart in the development of the sport. But this case, we have to face the issue that is, we believe, may have caused all this unnecessary stuff to happen.
Following the incident, a full-body autopsy has been conducted on Aut0psy at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital in Accra. The results stated that the deceased was left with an enlarged heart after the fight, causing his death. At this point, we know that Aut0psy's body will not be sent to Nigeria immediately. There will be further examinations to find out if other factors are in play for a better picture to be painted on what really happened to him. Also, Ghana's Sports and Recreation Minister Kofi Adams has set up a committee to investigate the circumstances leading to the death of the Nigerian boxer.
Okay, so the following are the things we can draw from the report so far. First is that he collapsed in the ring, was taken to a nearby hospital. That was where he was confirmed departed, right? Deceased. Okay, that was what happened. Now, something is brewing between the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control and their counterparts in Ghana, which is this agreement as to the procedure before the fight. That fight was not the actual fight according to reports. That fight was not the actual fight he went for in Ghana. He went for a fight that eventually didn't happen. He was certified fit for the particular fight he went for. But that fight didn't happen. So he was on his way back to Nigeria and he was called back. They said he was already at Aflao border when they called him back and he had to return for another fight that was unscheduled. Like he went to fight an unscheduled fight. And the medical procedure to check for his fitness to the fight wasn't conducted. That is a speculation. So it then gave rise to investigation. So the Minister for Sports in Ghana, I understand, is interested, and they've set up a 7-man committee to investigate, the cause. Of course, there's already an autopsy. The autopsy claims that or shows that he died of cardiac arrest, right? And then further examination claimed that he had heart enlargement, like enlargement of the heart. And according to health opinionists or health, commenters, they said in such a boxing circumstance that the person engaging in the boxing is under intense physical stress, consequence upon which their heart tries to compensate for whatever they were constantly going through for the stretch of minutes of the engagement. So he said, I mean, that is the health commenter I listened to, said that it is therefore possible for there to be heart enlargement, meaning that person is trying to explain for the heart enlargement. But then I inquired into the committee that was set up to investigate this, and I found that they were all members Ghanaians. All the members of the committee are Ghanaians. Then I asked my source in Ghana, how do you want us to accept the outcome of whatever findings you claim you would have from this? Like, yes, it's okay to raise an investigative team to figure what could be the cause, right? But then the question I have is, with the committee involving no single Nigerian, how do we trust the outcome of your findings? But he said, don't worry, you will trust it because their minister is involved. And the person believed that the minister will even call for a committee to be set up, an investigation conducted before success body will be returned to Nigeria. He believes that the minister wanted a transparent outcome. But then the question again is, why is there no Nigerian involved? And there is Nigerian Boxing Board of Control, headed by the likes of Mr. And there's also Remy Aboden, who is secretary of the Board of Control for Nigerian Boxing Board. Now, what all of this indicates or suggests to us is that Olanrewaju's body is not returning, that is Segun Success's body is not returning um, as soon as it is expected. And the reason given is that they want to conduct further examination to decipher or to determine what exactly caused him to collapse in the ring. But then the preliminary speculations or reports claim that it wasn't, it didn't go through the normal health check before going into that ring. Of course, it was checked for another scheduled fight, which did not happen. So he was already on his way back to Nigeria. What I'm simply saying or explaining here is that he went for a fight in Ghana in that IMAX league or competition, right? But the fight he was scheduled for did not hold. He was on his way back to Nigeria when he was called again, and he was already at that point at a flower border. He was on his way back to Nigeria when he was called upon to return for an unscheduled fight. Now, for the unscheduled fight, the medical procedure was not done. That is the speculation so far. So part of the scope of what that committee set up by the minister in Ghana is going to be looking at includes to check whether there was health procedure for him, to check, which is like a routine before you enter the ring to fight. Remember, it was an unscheduled fight he was called back to do in Ghana, not the one he was scheduled for which he traveled to Ghana. That's sealed. Now let's come to the talks on the streets. You know, this is Nigeria and this is Africa. A lot of people, oh, Anowoni, they used something for him. Was it juju? Was it jazz? Was it all that? You know, by the time we are already speaking about the scientific aspect of it or the medical aspect of it, which is purely scientific, to investigate by procedure or by systematic check to determine what went wrong in his body system, like medical investigation. But then as Africans, there are talks on the streets that it was, some people call it Agbawu Anowu or something, like they used charms or jazz on him. The question is, what do you believe? Do you think it was an Agbawu Anowu or whatsoever that caused him to collapse in the ring? And those who claim that also are nursing the speculation that they lured him to that because it was a target. Like it was a shooting star and a target they needed to take down. But I asked the people who nurse this kind of thoughts, what would Ghana achieve, or what would whoever did that aim to achieve? Is it standing on the way of another person from career success in boxing? So, what are other antecedents that may suggest that he is a target for such in any ways? Because these are the things that will lead us to be able to, if you can tick, cross the T's and dot the I's, then we might be able to say, okay, maybe that theory has some components that can help anyone to establish it. But then again, if that were, then the question is, um, as Africans, if you say they use that just on him to attack him, don't you also know that you are trying to implicate the boxer, like Segun Success opponent, by saying that? What would the opponent, that in this case John Mbanugu, what would he be aiming to achieve if he used jazz on Segun Success? Are they rivals on anything else aside this career? And then I ask again, if you come up or you subscribe to that theory, then you are indirectly or directly even suggesting that um, if anybody does that by using African jazz or juju on another in a career fight, so I don't know what could be the end point. Like, what do they want to achieve by deciding that pieing him would be the, because if you want to defeat somebody, defeats them. Okay, if they are Agbawo, at least we saw the celebrity fight between Baba Philomena, that is Charles Okocha, and Portable. Charles Okocha didn't have to pie in the ring. It was only meant to be weak, to become weak and allow the opponent win, right? uh So that is what I understand that just was supposed to have done, not to pie the person completely. Because of what gain would it be? So that we don't begin to allow some unnecessary or needless hostility between Nigerians and Ghanaians. Okay, in this case, like, oh, Ghanaians used juju on him. Like, oh, they now called him for an unscheduled fight so that they could use it on him to achieve exactly what? The only concern I have right now is, why is the committee set up to examine Segun Success in Ghana devoid of at least one or two Nigerians? Or at least one. So the pathology will be conducted on him to determine what led to, or to the death, like what led to his spine. And there will be no Nigerian, nobody from his country represented. Where are his families? I mean, these are questions. And I didn't also hear whether he had his own manager there. I heard that John Banugu had his own person there. And if you say John Banugu used juju on him, don't you also think you are attacking John Banugu's career? Because it will mean that a lot of boxers will be avoiding John Banugu to fight him in future. They'll say, oh, he used juju on Segun Success. So every other boxer will now start to avoid him. And that is going to affect John Banugu's career himself. So all these speculations, we need to really check them. That is not to say we dismiss them completely, but we need to check the veracity of each of these claims and each of these theories, each of these thoughts, each of these suggestions and direction of thinking. This is not to say it is impossible or it doesn't exist. I'm not here to argue forces of nature or how people could manipulate things to get results. But I'm asking the intention that could be behind or the motive behind buying somebody completely when all you just need is victory right there in the ring. Okay? Or could it be that it went hurry, it did the magic beyond what he expected? But then, did Segun have a history of hole in the heart or anything like heart expansion and all that? We need the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control to step in and assist with providing more information about these things because we will definitely need more information about this. Was there a history or antecedent of Shegun having heart enlargement such that it became overly sustained this time during his engagement or his bouts with Johnny Banogun in Ghana? Yeah. These are questions. So Nigerian Boxing Board of Control. I tried to get Mr. Remy Aboderin to come on the show with me yesterday. It rained. I wasn't able to do the show eventually. Even 2 days ago, I tried. I was on the road throughout. By the time I got back, it was late. So today again, I didn't make attempt today, but I know that certainly we are still going to. I'm still going to message him. I'll talk to him. I'll see how I can get him to come offer further explanations because Nigerians are interested. Nigerians want to know when other countries are taking responsibility for their citizens. Nigeria should not just be a back or behind. So there's need. There's need. Nigerians, those of you in the positions to wake up to rise to the occasion and do the right thing. So God bless everybody. You can share the video. Let's also bring suggestions, opinion. Let's also see how, as a people, if government fails in any capacity, how we can always rise to occasions by ourselves. Because, like you know me already, I don't wait for government to do anything anymore because I don't expect them to do anything. This is Nigeria. If I see something needs electricity, I go buying renewable energy solutions. I don't depend on NEPA. If a road needs a fix, I just look at how we could just, you know, fill it up, level it on our own. If a road needs road sign, I'll go and put the road sign by myself. Because and talking about security, all of us provide our own security. You get gate man now, you get all sorts. So what else is left for government to do to us other than just taking from us? The only thing government exists for in Nigeria is to squeeze you and take more from you. That's the only thing government exists for in Nigeria. Therefore, as citizens, if we truly want things to work, that means you and I have to work. So back to this story, I'll continue to follow up and bring you updates. But Nigerian Board of Boxing Control needs to do beyond just writing letter or speaking over. We need to do more by perhaps sending the delegates to be on the standby and pressure them because uh, we don't also want the body to be too long in Ghana, not knowing what's, and we have no representative telling us what exactly is happening day by day to help us with the timeline. Today they found this, tomorrow they did that, next they did this test or examination, and by so date is back. Tonight his body is back. We need somebody to give us all these updates. So Nigerian Board of Boxing Board of Control, you can do better. Mr. Emia Boderi, I'll call again. And Nigerian boxers generally, please do take care of yourselves. Very important. I leave it there for now.